Welcome to MiraCosta College's Black Community Ally Training, or BCAT for short. My name is Wendy Stewart and I am the Dean of Counseling and Student Development at MiraCosta, and I've been working with Shantae Mitchum, an associate faculty member in sociology, to develop this 4-part training. So we are really excited that you signed up for the training, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what to expect of the training overall, and also we're going to give an introduction to Module 1. So the BCAT is designed to have 4 specific parts that will be completed across 4 to 5 weeks. Each module of the Canvas shell is designed to be completed within a week. So the first module, which you are starting right now, Foundations in History, gives a brief history of the experience of Black Americans, gives a little bit of context that really gives rise to some of the racial inequalities that we see today. So you'll learn a little bit about Black history, some things that you might know, some things that you might not know and are new to you. The second module is called Where Are We Now? And it focuses on student equity data, an understanding of the experiences of the Black community. You'll have a chance to see a video, which was a project that myself and others created this past year, where we asked the prompt, what does it mean to be Black at MiraCosta? And recorded staff, faculty, and students unedited responding to that prompt. So it'll give you a little bit of an idea of the wide range of experiences that our students, our staff, our faculty, our administrators have at MiraCosta. We're also going to talk a little bit about how you work with students in online environments, which is really relevant given COVID-19. We know that our students are going to be taking our classes and interacting with the college in more online environments than ever before. The third component is what it means to be an ally. And we chose allyship versus a lot of different things that we could look at when we're talking about trainings in regards to racial inequalities and working with the Black community. But allyship is something that we hear all the time from our students. The biggest impacts that they experience at MiraCosta are in their one-on-one interactions with you. So we wanted to focus on ways that we could talk about what is real allyship, what is performative allyship, what are some ways that you in your specific role at MiraCosta can help to reduce anti-Black racism and serve as an ally to the Black community. And then the fourth component is entitled Doing the Work. And so we give you all of these different strategies and techniques and definitions. And so the fourth part is really where we have an opportunity to dialogue and talk about how do you put this into practice. So the fourth module will require a 1.5-hour live session. When you signed up for the BCAT, you had an opportunity to identify dates that worked for you. If you have any challenges with that, you can contact myself or Shantae and we can look at changing that date. But for the most part, that session will be an opportunity to reflect, connect with others. You'll be in a small cohort of other folks across the campus who are taking the training, and you'll have a chance to actually set an action plan for how do you actually embody allyship in your specific role at MiraCosta. The BCAT is designed to connect with other efforts across the institution around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I encourage you, in addition to the resources in the BCAT, you can check out MiraCosta's DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion website. That's at miracosta.edu/DEI. You also might have been the recipient of the 2 books that MiraCosta is giving away for free, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Dr. Ibram Kendi, and So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Alua. And so those books are available for free. If you haven't gotten your books already, you can feel free to contact me, wstewart@miracosta.edu, and I can make sure to get those books to you. And now I'm going to hand it off to Shantae, who's going to talk a little bit about why it's hard to talk about race. And before I do that, I just want to say we're excited to have you in this space. We don't expect you to be an expert. We expect you to come as you are, have an open mind, and be ready to engage in the material. Let's get started.
So now that you have a basic understanding of what to expect from this training, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And that is this topic of race and why this particular topic is so difficult for us to engage in. First and foremost, we're taught from a very young age that we're not supposed to point out people's differences, that talking about race and talking about inequality is actually making the problem worse. Ultimately, talking about race is just bringing the problem up to the surface. So ignoring racial differences, ignoring racism, and not engaging in these conversations doesn't make it go away. It actually allows for people with privilege in our society to maintain that privilege. Because walking around in a racialized body, you don't get to avoid conversations about race. You don't get to walk around your life pretending that your race does not have an influence on your everyday life. However, people with white privilege do have that ability to walk around their life and not ever have to address this very complex, complicated topic of race. And so silencing these issues just allows, people with privilege to maintain their privilege, and it does not address all of the oppression and marginalization that happens on the other side. And so we do live in a colorblind society where we're taught not to talk about race. And so by not talking about race, a lot of our racial issues are deeply embedded in our various structures and institutions. And so it's hard for us to understand the personal impact that these issues have, because a lot of what happens along racial lines are not on a very individual level anymore. And so that doesn't go to say that, individual people don't have racist ideologies and carry out racist ideologies. But what that does say is that racism has become such a institutionalized issue that it's hard to put our finger on the exact problem. And so the first step is kind of leaning into this uncomfortable topic and understanding that each of us comes in with different levels of experience in talking about race. So whether that means this is your first time engaging in this conversation. And so to that, I would say thank you for being here. For those who have been talking about race, living racialized experiences, also thank you for being here, because we have to bring the two together so that we can bring these issues to the forefront and address them head on. Ultimately, leaving them unspoken about, unheard of, is not going to give us the tools that we need to address these issues. And so part of what we hope to accomplish in this training is to provide very basic tools that can help alleviate some of the uncomfortability that comes along with conversation about race. So we know this conversation is not going to be easy for you, but we hope that you'll continue to lean into that uncomfortability and find areas of improvement and figure out, how can I have these conversations about race with my friends, with my family, with my coworkers, with my colleagues, all of these things. We have to have these conversations in order to break down the barriers and figure out how we as a campus can support our Black community. And lastly, before we send you along your way to begin with Module 1, we want to make sure that you're aware of all the resources that we have for you. The first one is going to be found in Module 1, which we recommend you start with. This one is going to be the Racial Equity Tools Glossary. This is something you'll probably continue to go back to. So any word or concept or something that you don't understand, we do encourage you to refer to that tool within the module. The second one is going to be the workbook that we created. We hope that you will use this workbook within each module, answer the questions, put in the work, get uncomfortable, because a lot of it is going to be addressing, your own positionality and how you may be perpetuating anti-Black racism here on our campus. And again, we have to engage in these conversations. We have to lean into this uncomfortability, and we hope that we can do this in a safe space such as this, where we are not collecting this workbook from you. This is your personal reflection, where you will then be building a personal action plan. So you'll see at the end of your workbook a bunch of blank boxes. That is what you're going to be doing. Those are the actions that you are going to commit to at the conclusion of this training. Everything before that is just leading you there. It's guiding you. It's having you think. It's having you dig deep. And we hope that you will go through that process with us. The final resources we want to make sure that you are aware of are within each module. So there is a tab that says additional resources. These are not required for the training, but these are recommended readings, books and articles that you can go in and access yourself and purchase for yourself that can help strengthen your understanding of these various topics. And so we hope that you enjoy this first module, and we look forward to seeing you in the live session.